Welcome to Season 8 of the award-winning Retail Tea Break podcast. My name is Melissa Moore, the Retail Advisor, and each week I'll be joined by industry experts, retailers and brands to dispel the myths, share their knowledge and give you an insight into the retail industry. Listen back to previous seasons on your favourite podcast platform, and while you're there, please do hit that follow button so you get to listen first every week. Watch us over on YouTube and subscribe to The Retail Advisor because you've no idea how useful it is to ensure that I can keep bringing you the content that you love. And remember, sharing is caring in the retail industry. Share an episode across any of your platforms with your network. And if you're on social media, tag me, Melissa Moore, and the Retail Tea Break podcast. In the meantime, grab that cup of tea, sit back and listen in to Season 8 of the Retail Tea Break podcast. A huge thank you before you go to our sponsor, International Retail Magazine. You'll find a link to the latest copy in the show notes. Each issue of International Retail is jam-packed with strategies that you can use immediately from the brightest minds in retail just for you. With the latest news and trends that are impacting your retail business, articles from retail leaders in the field, Q&As with global retail moguls, training tips for your frontline sales associates, and attention-grabbing cover stories from brands and CEOs that you know and love. Head over to irg-retail.com and subscribe today to your free copy of the latest issue of International Retail Magazine. Today, I'm joined by the founder and CEO of a shopping platform and marketplace connecting sneakerheads with hard-to-find products. Through the use of innovative tech, engaging content, and strategic partnerships, the brand drives over £50 million gross merchandise value annually to global brands such as Nike, Adidas, and ASOS. Over the past decade, today's guest has bootstrapped the company from a bedroom blog to a UK powerhouse driven by an amazing team of 30 at their Shoreditch hub in London. George Sullivan, founder and CEO of the Supplier, welcome to the Retail Tea Break podcast.
Thanks, Melissa. That's a great intro. Yeah, really nice. Yeah, appreciate
Oh,
it. I was going to say you mentioned that like the journey from the bedroom, bootstrapped from the bedroom to the office in Shoreditch with a team. Yeah, it's been a wild 11 years. We've had a crazy journey, to be honest. We've had like five, six offices, outgrew offices, nearly been bankrupt twice. We've grown. We've had to let people go because of the post-COVID bubble pop. We've really done a lot in those 11 years. Obviously, I thought it was going to be 11 years of pure growth, but it didn't quite work out like that. So there is a lot of good and lessons to talk about. Yeah.
Oh, and I'm really excited because I was just going to say that was the one thing that struck me about you. We met obviously a couple of months ago in the run up to the Retail Technology Show. Your energy and your passion, I have to say, there's very few people in this industry that I almost feel matches mine, but yours does because you're so embedded with what you do. But I also think wise to the challenges. And as you've just kind of alluded to, that's why. But
Yeah.
look, to kick us off, then, traditional question of the Retail Tea Break podcast in the time that it takes to boil a kettle, which I am told is about 2 minutes. Tell
Hmm.
us a bit more about you. Bring us back to that, starting that blog. Tell us a bit about your background in the industry.
Yeah. So I got kicked out of school and I didn't get to go to uni because, yeah, I messed up my grades. I didn't get to my A levels, right? And then I had like 10 different jobs from age 16 to 22. And then in my 10th job, which was in recruitment, I started buying trainers when I started earning good commissions. So they were a symbol of my success. It was like, well, okay, how am I going to show that I'm doing well? At the time, it was I'm gonna dress the part. Actually, at the time, I was wearing a suit during the day, and then in the evenings and weekends, I'm putting on trainers and generally more casual clothes. But yeah, trainers became a symbol of my success, and I got obsessed with buying them. And I grew up listening to hip hop and rap, and they were a symbol of success in that genre of music as well. So it all just kind of fell together, and I got the trainer bug. And then after doing that for a year and a half, say 2 years, people were asking me, where do you get them? What's limited? What ones can I sell for profit? How are you selling some for profit as well? And then I realized, well, there's not a site good enough in the UK that helps people. There's a few things going on, but I can build a website and a platform that helps people understand what's coming out, when, what retailers are stocking it. And that was how the Soul Supplier was born.
That's incredible. I love the fact that your journey into this completely normal. I think we need to go back to the fact that not everyone needs that third level in that respect. You
Yeah.
found your niche though eventually. But I also love the fact you were investing in trainers. Some people go fancy shoes, some people go with their watches, but you invested again something that you absolutely love, which is every day in that respect. So it is attainable for those that were watching you, those that want to do it
Mm.
themselves. But you found this gap in the market, which I think is incredible.
Yeah, I always say to people, if you're looking for a business idea, look at your passions, your hobbies. Some people knock that idea now. There's more controversial business type influencers that go, you don't need to follow your passion, just find something that makes money. But when you don't follow your passion and you go after something that you see online that you think makes money, when it gets hard after 6 months or 9 months, and you don't really care about that industry, and you're not really the target audience because you don't know about it, then you're going to quit and you're going to find it hard to get through the tough times. So, the age-old advice of following something that you know about, probably that you're passionate about, is where the gold is because you are the target audience and you understand your audience, what desires they have, what problems they face, how to improve them. And then when the going gets tough, you hopefully still like that thing, so you know how to get through and you've got the strength to stick through it because you love it anyway. So it's still advice that works well. So anyone that's looking for an idea, you always start with the things that you know the most about or love.
It makes so much sense though as well because I think you are your consumer in many respects, and I presume
Hmm,
you still are. So therefore
absolutely.
you're reading the room constantly.
Mm. I'm not, I'm 34 now, so I've got a few years on when I started at 23. But absolutely, I still wear streetwear. I still have trainers. I still am a different niche in the audience, but still part of the audience. And then we've got an amazing, talented team, and some of them are younger than me, and they're tapping into different niches within sneakers and streetwear. And between us, we've covered off the different demographics in the audience, and I think that's very important. If you have to be ideally your target audience, but hopefully if you're not, but hopefully together you and your team are, because that's where the gold is again, because it's easy to talk to the audience.
And you've built an incredible one, by the way, which kind of
Yeah.
blows me away. But that passion is there. That passion that I saw the first time I met you. You are not only reading the room, but you're just exuding this confidence in what you do, but also you're connecting with people all the time. And in that, then I'm fascinated. Look, the sneaker market, much like retail, is such a ridiculously fast-paced
Mm.
environment to be kind of working in. How are you and the team then staying, I suppose, ahead of the trends to make sure that you're looking at the right thing at the right time then for your customer? And as you said, then staying relevance with the audience, I presume, connects in with that too.
Yeah. Yes, a good question. Appreciate you mentioning the energy as well, because you got to bring that good energy to these types of conversations and events and tell the real story. Because there's a lot of young people to inspire, I think, and that's a big reason I like to do things like this as well now. People ask me why. I'm like, well, there's a lot to give back, I think. There's a lot of people that want to know how, and done in the correct way, there's a lot of people that can be helped. So that's just a side note. But how do we stay ahead? It comes back to that team thing as well. Having a great team that are tapped into the culture is key, is everything. That's one thing, but we're heavy on our data analysis. So we work very closely with all of these different brands. So we have a broad view of what's going on in the market generally. And that means that we can pull different data points from everywhere and we can see, okay, hiking shoes are a trend right now, or leopard print is a trend right now in the women's niche, let's say, or generally, actually. And then we can see, okay, ASOS are releasing a cow print shoe. And that's probably going to follow on from the leopard trend because a lot of people are asking what's next. So it's a mixture of using the different bits of data that we have mixed in with our team's knowledge, combine those two things together, and that's how we stay ahead. So we were very on top of the cow print trend, and we worked with ASOS and Adidas to sell out in seconds. Actually, it sold out too fast. Maybe you tried to get it, which was the cow print Samba. And that was a great example of being ahead of the trend. And we basically worked with ASOS to dominate that cow print campaign. So yeah, data and people mixed together is the answer. You can't have one without the other. And it's the same now with AI. You need to You need great people with great AI. You need them both together to get ahead. Anyone that's relying just on people now is going to fall behind. Anyone that's relying just on AI is not going to be unique and original and is going to be too spammy, botified. But combining great people with great AI now is where the gold is as well.
Oh, I love that. Again, you're so refreshingly honest. Lots of people come on here, they talk about data, and what kind of puts the fear of God in me, to be honest, is we all know we need our data. Very
Hmm.
few people are reading it properly or therefore utilizing it properly to drive the business forward. But by the sounds of it, you're harmonizing the data and the people, as you said. So look, tell us a bit about the team, the maybe the
Hmm.
roles or kind of what they would be doing to bring this all together.
Yeah, we're big on content at the minute. My belief right now is that as AI progresses, we're going to become more human centric and human culture is going to be amplified even more, I think. That's my prediction right now. So we are doing everything in every department to work with AI to become faster, to get more ideas, and just to build it into our workflows, to analyze and stuff like that, right? We're trying it in every realm. But what we're not doing is we're not trying to replace people with AI. We're not trying to do that. And we're also not trying to make people work 10x harder now they have AI. You've only still got so much time in the day. People have to have a work-life balance because we're in that era as well. If you think that you can overwork people like it was 1980, then your people will leave. So it's about how are we using AI to speed things up to get people to be able to do more quality work. But in the world of like consumer and content, there's a bit of both going on. And what I mean by that is until you have robots that can sit on a podcast and talk like John or Taylor or Perny in our office and look and feel and talk like them, which could be a long way off, I believe that human-centric experiences and culture are going to be so important. So we're putting content at the front of a lot of what we're doing now, and that looks like developing new series for TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. One of the series we just developed was called Run, Don't Walk. And this is something that AI can't do. It's a wear testing series for running shoes. And it's led by our in-house runner, Miles led by he's hosting it, right? But John and Dan and other people in the team have helped create it, and it's getting crazy views. I think just between two episodes, wear testing two different shoes in each one shoe per episode. We've had just under 1 million views for the two episodes, right? And hundreds of thousands of engagements. People love it. Miles is credible because he's run so many of these half marathons in the last 18 months. He's a seriously credible runner. AI can't do that. You know, you can, there's nothing, and it stands out. So there's this thing now of like, and we have used AI to like get ideas and
Yeah.
help with parts of the scripting and maybe some ideas. But Miles is a human being that people relate to for his human experience, and they want the human view on something human. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now where I feel like stuff like Run, Don't Walk becomes even more important. But there are also things that are completely AI that are popping off on TikTok, right? So we can't dismiss that this stuff is working, but we're leaning into human stuff for culture and consumer with AI helping speed things up and ideate better. Yeah.
And I'm like a nodding dog here, as you can see,
Yeah.
because I'm like, surely that was the reason that AI was produced, is around. That's the real benefit of AI to brands like yourself, to retail, is that the fact it needs to layer on top of the people in our business and what they're good at, but also by the sounds of it and why you're getting so many views, it's what your customer wants as well, which is so
Yeah.
vitally important to a business like yours.
That's so true, right? But like I said, that thing there on TikTok now, you're having AI avatars that are working. They're AI people creating influencer AI-like accounts, commenting on things, and they are working. And people don't actually know the difference between if they're a human or not. So you're going to start to see more of that. It's really going to be interesting to see how these things go. And I don't know exactly how it's going to go, but I do know that human beings want human experiences. That's what connects us. So they are going to become even more important, I think.
No, I love this. And I love the fact you're out there, you're testing stuff, the team are testing stuff. As you said, you're layering in this AI with what you do. But I want to come back to, I suppose, the whole point of you doing this. Yeah, it's to move the sneakers on. But you have this incredible way at the Soul Supplier of blending the content that we've just been talking about with
Mm,
this community that you've built. And it is phenomenal. This
yeah.
community, this following, whatever you want to call them, is amazing. And of course, blending this then with commerce, which I think is still a fairly new phenomenon to get it right the way you
Mm.
are. Why do you think that's working? How has it been so successful? Or do you think it's only the start of that journey?
I think that it comes back to what I said before. Yeah, human beings thrive on authentic connections with other people through their shared interests. If that's like a running interest or that's a sneakers interest, that's something that AI can't replicate right now. And so that's still very important for culture. That's what we've always leaned into, and that involves us having passionate team members that can tap into the audience because they are them. And then it's easy. So, as an example, with the Adidas cow print shoe that we collabed with ASOS on, we saw it was on their release calendar. They said you can't reveal that yet. So we created a mock-up of a Samba cow and said, what if, right? And the community were like, obviously, we'd love that. Is that happening? Tell us more. And then we collaborated with ASOS on the next post, and we had this real shoe, and we was like, it's coming. And it's got tens of thousands of likes. So we tapped into the community by talking to them. We reply and sharing loads of comments when they're like, yes, we'd love to see it. And then we're like, it's actually coming. And then we do a podcast which says, can men wear cow print between Taylor and Perney, men's and women's opinion? And then that improves like the consideration. So a podcast style clip. We're doing like in-hand shots. We're doing lace swaps. Anna in the office did like a lace swap video. So we're tapping into all of the things that the audience are talking about and wanting for that shoot. And then when it came out, it sold out in 30 seconds, and there's a big restock that's just about to happen. So it's like it's about it's about answering what the audience want, and you can only do that when you understand them. But yeah, it's the game of giving value with content that really works. And people know our brand personality now. Like if we put out a post which is like a rage bait type post, let's call it, which is designed to get more engagement, there's a lot of people in the comments that go, "Oh, the Soul Supplier's having fun trolling today." The Soul Supplier's having a fun time today, and they laugh. They know when we're joking around, and this is the same thing that like Lidl or Audi do on social. They've got this brand personality where their consumers know that they are messing around or they're being a bit cheeky with a customer in the Twitter chat, right? That's what this is about. It's humanizing your brand because people buy from people, not from faceless logos. They buy from people. And that's what I've always wanted to try and tap into, and that's what the team do. I think that's it. People buy from people. Have to tap into that.
And it's 100% true. And I love this. I obviously teach in retail, teach in sales. It's the drum I bang, but there's still very few brands out there right now that do it as well as you guys do. Because by the sounds of it, as a leader, you're preaching from the top here. It's a lived experience for you. Your team are obviously seeing that. And I have to ask, and again, this is not a
Mm,
pre-rehearsed question. Um,
yeah.
you must recruit to your values then in that respect. You're not recruiting necessarily because they've got degrees and masters in certain aspects. I presume your team, because they are so passionate, just like you are, they're recruited because they have that same belief that you do.
Yeah, I don't think I've asked anyone about their degree. I've hired over 100 people in 10 years, and I haven't asked one of them, or I haven't related their degree to the eligibility for the role. I might have asked them about their degree. Oh, cool. Like, what did you learn in business? Like, has that helped you much? But I'm not like, this guy got a 2-1 in business, therefore, good for our business. Obviously not, because I didn't get a degree. And if you are good for the role, you're probably going to be passionate about your field, which means that you're always looking at the next thing that's coming out in your field. As a person, you're a problem solver. So you're actively looking for things to solve and you thrive on that. That's what makes you happy. And then you're honest and supportive as well. You're open, which means that you're going to thrive in our atmosphere in a team. because we leave our egos at the door at this company, and I hate it when someone comes in and we've mishired, let's say, and they carry a big ego, and it ruffles the team because they're clearly they think they're above their station, as my dad would say. They're not humble enough with their if they're experienced, they know it, and it's clear that they feel like they should be admired and worshipped rather than being so supportive and helpful and humble with that experience. Or it's someone that isn't experienced and they are overconfident with what they think they know, and it really rubs people up the wrong way, in terms of the way they communicate. So that for me is like the biggest thing that can rip up an organization. It's it's egos left to run riot, really. And for me, I have to be so careful of that. And I do try and lead with like, don't get me wrong, like there's times where I think that's good what I've done, or that's cool, but I won't. I'm always like approachable, friendly, and I want to build people up, never pull them down. I want to do everything I can to see them win. And that involves coaching, that involves asking them how they are, what are they up to at the weekend, what are their goals in life, listening to them. Two of these and one of these, classic sales talk. Yeah. Listening to them, taking them out for lunch, just being on their level. I'm not the boss, we're just the same. And if you build an organization with the right people, you don't need to be a boss. You just need to you just need to work together. You're on a shared mission. It's unspoken. I'm kind of setting the vision and where we're going roughly, but that's because I've asked everyone what they think, and then I'm thinking, okay, this is what we're doing. So it's like we're in the era of build the right team and you move together on the same way, in the same train. There's no, I'm the boss, you listen to me. There is some of that needed, right? Sometimes, but we're very much in the era of what can we do together? And that's how you get the happiest culture as well. It's like we're all on this together, everyone's contributed. Sorry, I know I'm talking a lot here, but this shit's really important, because I know people that have left our company and they've gone somewhere else, and then they're like, fuck, like it's actually maybe it was their second job, they've gone somewhere else, and then they're like, it's not like the Soul Supplier was. Or people that have worked for 15 years and come to our company and have said, wow, this is a nice place to be. And I'm feeling good about getting stuff done. This isn't me blowing my trumpet. This isn't something that I've done. This is something that everyone's created. I'm not the one saying, I've created this great culture. No, no, no. This is the people. We're a team of 30. This is them. It's not just me, is it? Saying this is culture and this is what we follow. But
But do you know what? It can't be. And the reason I'm letting you speak here is because it's something I'm so passionate about. Again, having worked on shop floor retail for 25 years, I've seen
yeah.
the good and the bad. I know what
Mm,
good leadership looks like. It's the nurturing type, which is exactly what you are. But also from a consumer perspective, they can see that. They might not know what it is, but when a team is immersed in what they do and they love what they do and the content's as great as it is, that's coming from a good place. That's not coming from a place where it's been bet out of them. They've been forced to push stuff out. You're churning
mm,
content for the sake of it. It's coming from, again, and it comes back to this word I used to describe you when I first met you, passion. It's coming from a really gorgeous
yeah.
place. And I think that spreads. It's infectious.
Melissa, that is it. Yeah, you nailed it. It's like if you had to be specific about what it is, if people are happy and they're able to be themselves and they just can come up with an idea and see it through to completion, over time that compounds. If they're doing that every week, after being in a company for 3 years, they've got so much confidence in themselves and they've tried and failed and won so many different ideas that they're an absolute machine. I've seen people come into our company that have been so quiet and kind of not fully confident, but full of passion. And we've kind of needed to help them get to that point. And now, I'm not going to name who this person is, but this person is like a leader in our company now. And so the development of this person is wild and so powerful to see from like the soft skills, the communication, the leadership, the ideas, it's yeah. So, and the reason I do that, right, just to say, is because I was at places that I hated working at, and I was at places where the leadership didn't care. They told you what to do, and if you didn't, you'd get told off, and yeah, some horrible rough jobs. And I was like, if I, and my dad growing up, he taught me, he's like, treat people how you want to be treated, blah, blah, blah. I was like, if I create a company, it's going to be a place where I would have liked to have worked, and my dad would be proud that I've created. My dad's still around, by the way. He was just here having lunch, but that's where it comes from, to be honest. You have to treat people like you want to be treated. Yeah.
And it's so special. And unfortunately, it's still quite rare at the moment. But I do think it's becoming more and more known and open that people like you are running businesses this way. And it works because your people are happy. And if your people are happy, what they're producing for your consumer, for your marketplace shopper is absolutely phenomenal. And look, that's working too. On that, then. What do you think? And again, between the marketplace and all the interaction you're having, as I said, with the likes of Nike or Adidas or ASOS, what do you
Hmm.
think makes for a great online experience today?
This is a good question. What makes for a great online experience? You know, bringing the customer with you on the journey of the product is a great one. I really like I really like what a brand called Salt, did you see, have done? Henry and Millie of Salt,
Love it.
Henry used to work at Pure Sport and he's created this Salt brand. They took the customer on the journey of building the product, the flavors, the inside, the behind the scenes, and then the launch absolutely popped off. So he's built this community around his and her electrolyte brand. And that's really important because young consumers now want to be invested in the stories and the founders and the why of the products. Not just they're buying something, but why are they buying it? Who's behind it? And a good example of this in our niche is Clint from Cortez. Cortez collaborated with Nike. He's got a cult following. He's an absolute boss when it comes to the stuff he wears, like the cars he drives. It's wild stuff. It's a bit heavy, some of it. It's very material, but granted, he's got like young consumers looking up to him, right? And then when he releases products, they're flying off the shelves because he is the guy. People like he's looking cool. He's friends with Skepta. He's driving the cars. He's releasing sick products that are homegrown UK bred. It's like people want to know the story. Bring your consumers with you on the journey is the key. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It comes back to this storytelling, isn't it? And authenticity, which again is something that the Soul Supplier is so about and has been for years.
Well, we've messed it up, by the way. We've gone over that 11 years from being like really community focused to then during COVID when we thought people were buying all the time. We went really transactional, forgot the community element, and our audience and our engagement, it started to really suffer. So we saw firsthand the effects of being more transactional and not giving back as much, not creating as much valuable content, and being just like, buy a product, this new product, just being a bit more faceless and transactional. The effects that had on engagement, on audience growth, on everything related to the audience. So you have to give back to your audience. You can't just be too transactional now. And young consumers are more turned off by that than ever. If you're just like, buy, 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 they're like, no, yeah, what else are you doing for me? What else are you giving me? You know?
It
Yeah.
is that added value thing, though, isn't it? It's not just about, as you said, buying a pair of sneakers anymore. It can't be. It's not how we live. But actually, on that, and I think that's brilliant advice, by the way. And I love the fact you were so honest that you did mess it up, but my God, you're back with a bang.
Yeah.
What advice then would you give someone who was, I suppose, trying to build a digitally native business or a marketplace now in 2025, knowing everything that you've been through and that you know, where
Yeah.
would you start? How would you do it?
So I love meditation. It changed my life. I had ADHD from when I was 6, right? And when I found meditation, it's absolutely changed how I work and how I function, my happiness and my peace and my focus. So I've meditated for 7 years. I'm building a product, an actual physical device. I've got the prototype here that helps people meditate, disconnect from their phones. I'm doing this as like a 10% side project, right? Out of passion and my problem that I want to solve. So the advice is find something you love, start solving the problem for yourself initially. Do your market research to understand is the market growing, and if there is a growing market, then good because you're in the right area. And then, like for me now, what I'm going to do is as soon as I've signed off the prototype, I'm going to take people with me on the journey, just like Henry and Millie have done, which is this is what I'm building, this is why, this is my story, and then you find your tribe. So for any brand, big or small, you have to focus on that small audience member, the me or the person with a busy mind, ADHD, who wants to get more focus. That's me, for instance. And start targeting everything to them. And that's exactly what I'm doing with this. That is called The Moment, is the brand, and it helps you tap into the moment. So I'll be doing that from the ground up. And I'll be taking people on the journey like Henry and Millie did with Salt. That's key. Be transparent. Show what you're about. Show who you are, why you've done it, and then because customers are just like, man, that's my guy or that's my girl. I get them. I get them. I want whatever they tell me now about products. Cool. What you got for me? You got a new journal? I'll buy it. Like people like Grace Beverley of Tala, they have
Oh,
that cult-like following because
yeah.
majority women, right, follow her and love her and who she is and what she's about, and it works. And that's because she's about who she is. And then the products that they kind of come second a little
I
bit,
was just
almost.
going to say that they're
Yeah.
actually secondary because
Yeah.
you know what, we're nosy people, the general public. But I think when you share things in an authentic way, as you said, when you bring people on the reality of the journey, you've mentioned Grace there. The store opened at the weekend. The run up to it was awful in some respects last week, but she's been
Yeah.
really open and honest about that. And I think, as you said, you've done the same, whether it's with this new brand, and we will be watching this space, or whether
Yeah.
it's with the Soul Company. It's the authenticity of it's not all perfect all the time because we
Yeah.
kind of know that's not true anyway, but we tend to just brush it aside on Instagram or TikTok or any of those things. But it's the lived reality. It's so much more important nowadays.
The biggest mistake that big brands make is doing exactly what you just said, which is making it seem like everything's perfect. And big brands are still winning to some extent, but the ones that are showing that humility and that vulnerability through the lens of people, and this is what Nike have always done well. They've
Mm.
always used or worked with people, that Michael Jordan being the best example, to humanize their brand and their experience. And how powerful is it that what they've done with Michael Jordan, And then when Kanye or Ye, whatever we call him right now, was actually popping at the time, Adidas tried to do exactly that. They tried to humanize their brand by working with Kanye, and it worked, right? And now he's gone completely off key and gone wild. But the point is, the biggest mistake these big brands make is not humanizing their brands enough, not showing the vulnerability, and not working with the right people. So it works for big and small brands. But you look at Nike and you think, oh, they don't really do that. But actually they do. Look at all of their athletes. Look at the Just Do It mantra. Look at everything they've done. It is tapping into communities with the right people. And they're doing it with Clint at Cortez now. They're tapping into that London audience with the Nike Cortez collaborations. They are the playbook for how it's been done for 50 odd years. But they do it so well that you almost don't even realize.
It's the
So,
future of shopping, though, isn't it? You're dead right. And it's funny, as you said, we've been there, we've come from this, we kind of got lost in the middle a little bit, but it is definitely the future. As you said, community first, that reality, that people-driven
yeah,
piece that you're so good at. And actually, then the sales will come naturally afterwards.
appreciate. Yeah, exactly.
So, look, final question then, and I've no idea where this is going because you're such a busy man as it is. What's next for you? What's coming up for the rest of this year?
So with the Soul Supplier, we're focusing on growing the audiences with new content series. We're very excited about things like Run, Don't Walk. We've got I'll call it like a versus type series where people go head to head. I won't say too much about that. And we've also got something coming which will be like very much giving back to the audience in terms of outfits and sneakers. So there's some really interesting ones coming, and we're also going to relaunch the Soul Supplier podcast. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, our biggest guest was David Beckham. It was great to sit down with Beckham. So we'll be relaunching that because there's a lot of demand from people. So we're content is at the heart of everything we're going to be doing, Melissa, and we've got the team to do it. We know what we're doing, and brands are really excited to get involved in those series, like Run, Don't Walk, like the podcast. So it works great for us, it works great for the customers, the viewers, and it works great for brands. So for me, it's just all about growing that as the revenue stream, working with cool brands, creating content that customers love, that feels right for them. And the team will love that as well because it's really exciting for all of us when we're working with cool brands and the customers are happy. So, and obviously helping people get the shoes via the app is still really important. Oh, like if you need shoes, get the Soul Supplier app. You can shop from 50 retailers is the point. But that kind of funnels in from the content. It's like the app is your kind of shop in your pocket for all the retailers. But at the heart, at the top is the content. That's everything, and that's a big focus for us. Yeah.
And it's funny because that's the very reason we haven't even talked about the shopping bit today. There's no need because, as you say, once people, and as I am, I'm now obsessed with use online, and I'm not necessarily the niche customer, but it's because it's so interesting, it's so enticing. Can't
Mm,
wait for the podcast to come back again. That's not something I normally say on this one, but
mm.
again, because the content is there and it is actionable and insightful, and it just makes you feel good as well, which, as a consumer, is exactly what you want as well.
Yeah, that's the key, isn't it? If you can make someone feel good, if you can make them laugh, if you can teach them something, if you can inspire them, then they're probably going to remember you. And that's key when you're building a brand because there's so much noise now. It's how do you get people to remember you? So content is a great way to get people to remember you when done in the right, authentic way. So yeah, but it is also a lot harder now to cut through with content if you're new because there's so much noise. So it's a double-edged sword in that sense. Harder to cut through now, but once you do, you're winning. So yeah, game of consistency.
Absolutely. And look, we'll be watching this space and no doubt have you back in a while to see what you are up to next. If you've enjoyed today's podcast episode, which has been packed full of insights, I might add, George has been so honest and open. Please do like and share it from any of the podcast platforms available. Do share that with your network. Tag me, Melissa Moore, and the Retail Tea Break podcast. Listen back, obviously, to previous episodes on your favorite podcast platform. And while you're there, hit that follow button so you get to listen first every week. Connect with myself and George over on LinkedIn. His content, I might say, is phenomenal because, again, it's that truthful writing style that you kind of listened to today, which is just gorgeous. Obviously, check out the Soul Supplier app, as he's just said, and I'll pop all the details, of course, in the show notes. And then follow them across social media if you're not already, because the content, as we've been talking about, is absolutely phenomenal. George, it's been a pleasure. It really has. I'm loving the passion and the insights, and I'm really excited for what's coming next.
Thanks, Melissa. It's great to be here.